right, the next step that we want to take here is once we've figured out the time cards, we know what we're going to pay each employee. We need to put it in some type of form or format for our accounting records. So this is what's called a payroll register. It's going to have all of the employee numbers here. It's going to have the names of each employee, their marital status, the number of allowances that they claimed from 13-2 on their W-4. It's going to be listed right here. We're going to have their hours, what they made regular, their overtime, how much they made overtime, total of what they made, their federal income tax withheld, which is what we need to look up according to their marital status and number of allowances on that website that we've been to, the Social Security tax that's withheld, Medicare tax that's withheld. When we come to health insurance, and this is going to tell you basically some employees will pay for their own health insurance or others might not even have health insurance. So this is the deduction right here that's going to go in this column. And then other, you're going to see B and you're going to see UW, which stands for United Way, and B stands for I can't remember quite offhand what it stands for. It's not a big deal. It's basically if you're donating out of your check towards political funds or parties, or for example, the United Way is something that I deduct money from my check every week or every 2 weeks to donate money to the United Way. We're going to have our total deductions. We're going to have our net pay. And our net pay is the actual amount that we're going to write a check for each employee. So Susan Aranda this week, even though her net income was $968, after her deductions, we're actually going to write her a check for $762.96, and that goes with the rest of our employees. We're going to total these single rule, double rule, so make sure that you add the totals to each of those columns. So again, we're going to put the month ended. This is the payroll register. We're going to put the period ended, and this says semi-monthly, which means every 2 weeks or twice a month. Date of payment, employee personal data we're going to add, which is their name and the employee number, their earnings, which again is right here in this column, total of what they've earned, and we're getting this information from their time card. Federal income tax, which we're going to have to look up, their Social Security tax, which I believe is 6.5%, which we did in the last chapter, their Medicare tax, which was 1.5%, health insurance, which is something that we add, is just an extra deduction. Again, deduction means that we're taking it away from their earnings, their total earnings. Any other deductions, which I said were contributions, something that you're donating. Total deductions, which is right here, which is step 10. Net pay, which is what we are writing a check to our employee for. This is the amount. We're writing a check for $667.48 or $96.59. We're finally, once we're done, we're going to total and prove this, which means total each column and then prove it. Double rule, single rule. You're going to notice check numbers over here, and this is going to be in the next chapter where we actually come back. Once we've written the check to our employee, we're going to put the check number that we wrote for this amount, we're going to put it back in here, but that's going to come in the next section. Okay, so this is what a payroll register looks like, everything that we just went over. Once we have created a employee payroll register for our company, we actually also have individual records for each employee. So you're going to see the employee number here. You see the last name, first name, middle initial, marital status, again, how many deductions they're withholding, and each period that ended on their payroll, how much they earned, how much overtime, the totals, income tax, Social Security tax, Medicare cash, health insurance, anything else that they donated to, their total deductions, net pay, and accumulated earnings. Okay, so I went through this pretty quick, but this is basically the same thing as the payroll register. As you see, you're going to write the last day of the quarter, or the last, it says quarter ended, employee personal data. We're going to write the accumulated earnings to date, and you're going to see that in the next section here as well. Pay period. Number 5 is we're going to write the earnings and all of the deductions right here on that line for this particular employee, Rick Shelby. I guess just make sure that you keep the payroll register, which lists all of your employees and what you're paying them. Keep it separate from the individual earnings for each employee. So this is kind of like a sub-file of your payroll register. And if you want to slow this down, that's fine, or stop it, pause it. That pretty much takes care of that section. Let's go ahead and do it in Excel. So 13.3, Part A. What we're going to do is we're going to figure out again, this is the payroll register. I've already put the date of payment and the period ended up here for you. Okay. You have your employee numbers, which I've included, your employees' names. Let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. Marital status, number of allowances, which we'll have to look up, which I've included the website right here when we're ready to do that. Regular earnings made, overtime earnings made, we need to sum up what they made. This is summing up all 3 cells. We just want to select these 2. Hit enter. Let's go ahead and drag this down. Let's drag it down more than what we want. Federal income tax with federal tax withheld here. Kind of got a break in the video. We definitely want to look at not bi-weekly. For this factor, we want to look at weekly. So married weekly. You have weekly on this table, and then you have bi-weekly. We just want weekly. So we have, this is going to change a little bit. We have married with 3 at $1,100. Married 3, $1,100. So let's take a look. Here's 3. Married, right at $1,100. Again, $1,180. And we are going to get $90. 3 exemptions. $90. So let's put 90 in here. Social Security tax, we're going to do, let's get rid of all of this here. Social Security tax, again, is 6.5% of our net income. So we're going to put equals our net income times 0.065, which is 6.5%, which gives us $71.55. Medicare is 1.5%. So again, we're going to put equals net income times 0.015, or 1.5%, which gives us $16.51. Our health insurance. This is something that can be deducted if you're a full-time employee normally, is $50, and this is given in the book. Other. This can be anything from any contribution, United Way, or maybe it's another charity that you're giving to, or maybe you're buying U.S. savings bonds. But for the time being, our other is going to be $20. We're going to total that. So our total is auto sum. It's adding up all of our deductions automatically. So if we hit enter, we get $248.06. Our net pay is going to be equals our net income minus our deductions. We hit enter. We should get a total of $852.74. Now, we do need to look up the next person's. Ellen Park, she is single with 2 allowances. And again, we're going to want to make sure that we're under weekly. So we're looking for single. Here's single, weekly. 2 allowances at 1,058. So let's look for 1,058, which would be right here. Here's 0, 1, 2 allowances, $135. So we're going to put $135 here. Social Security tax, we can actually run this formula down. Let's scroll over here and zoom in a little bit. Medicare tax, again, we can run this formula down. Again, here is the formula right up here. Health insurance also is $50. Other is actually only $10, which gives us a total deductions of, and it is calculating this for us automatically. We hit enter. Drag this formula down so that we get our total $778.36. This is the check amount that we're going to write to our employee. Once we write the check, we're going to take the check number and we're going to come back to this payroll register and we're going to put the check number in. Okay, so the next step is this is for your individual employee. Let me delete some of the things here that I already have. First of all, this is on 13.3. This is your individual employee. We're going to put employee number 8, which is Gary Eubanks, employee number 8, married, 3 allowances. So we're going to put that information here. 8, Gary Eubanks, marital status M, 3 withholding allowances. His rate of pay, I've already put this in here, is $12.80. Don't worry about this per hour. And Social Security number is this. Make sure we have that in there. And his position is sales clerk. So, ending on July 15th, 2014. Regular made $1,024. I'm getting this information right from here, $76.80, but we'll total this. So overtime was $76.80. Again, this is your individual employee record. Total is the sum of both of those, which it does it for us. If you don't already, you're going to want to select all of these cells and make sure that we have the accounting button on. Federal income tax withheld was $90. Social Security tax withheld was $71.55. Medicare tax withheld $16.51. Health insurance $50. Other is $20. Other is $20. Total list, let's go ahead and auto sum just the deductions. Hit enter. So we have deductions of $248.06. Now, previously, we had an accumulated earnings before, obviously, from January to July of $13,312. Now, what we can do is for our net pay is going to equal our net income minus our deductions. So our check again should be $852.74. What we can do in this box for accumulated earnings is equals our accumulated earnings plus our net pay. We hit enter. So this is what this person has made for the entire year so far. Again, this is just for the quarter. If we put quarter ended September 30th, 2014. So quarter means 4. That means 4 times out of the year we're going to record this information. Or we might have 4 of these for Gary Eubanks for the entire year. And we'll continue to list his checks here until the end of September. So again, you can drag down the formulas, which we want to do, so that any number that you put in, the formulas just kind of carry on, etc. Okay, so for 13.3, here's what I want you to do. You have this payroll register here. You already have the regular and overtime hours. I need you to put the total here, which is simply just summing it, making sure that you don't add this cell, and then you could just drag it down. So it makes this easy. Okay, you're going to have to figure out the federal income tax for marital status and number of allowances for each employee. And again, you're going to find that on this website here at the bottom of this page. Make sure that you are on weekly, not bi-weekly. Social Security tax is 6.5%. I showed you that formula already. Medicare tax, 1.5%. I've shown you that formula already, and you can just drag it down. Here's your healthcare insurance, your other. I've already inputted this for you. You're going to have to put a sum of all your deductions here. Put the formula in here, drag it down. Net pay, again, is equals your net pay, or I'm sorry, your net income minus your deductions. Hit enter. This is going to be the same amount because right now I don't, well actually it's not the same amount. It is the same amount. Well, we have to put the formula in here first. So if we put the formula for total equals, actually we auto sum all of our deductions, hit enter. There we go. Drag this formula down. There's our deductions. You're going to have to add these deductions in. Now our net pay is going to be equals our net income minus our deductions. There we go. Once you add amounts in here, this amount will change. Again, once we're done filling in the or writing the checks, we're going to come back and put the check number in the payroll register. We're also going to total these at the end of the month. So we're going to want to put totals. Nothing total, nothing totaled. To total something, again, we're going to want a single rule, double rule. I've shown you how to do this numerous times. We're going to auto sum each of these columns. And actually, to make it simple, anytime you see this, means we need to extend the column a little bit. And let's drag this formula all the way across, except for check number. We don't want to total check numbers. So that's what it should look like. Notice we have the pound signs. We need to extend the column a little bit more. Any number that you enter in here will total it for you automatically. Okay. So this is what you should have. You shouldn't have anything in the check number. You should have this column filled out, these 3 columns filled out, and once you've put the formulas in and you've single ruled and double ruled, I'll show you how to do that real quick. Again, we're going to go to borders. There we go. Double rule bottom. What I do is I go back up to the next column up and I put thick bottom. There we go. So thick bottom, double border, ends it, rules it. The last thing I want you to do in 13.3 is I want you to go through and figure out the rest of these combinations. And this is for employee number 28. And if you look up at employee 28, she's not on there. This is for Grady Hurley. Marital status is married with 2 exemptions. So this is kind of separate, but I want you to do it on here, September 30th. Rate of pay is $15. Again, we're going to have to come back up and format this. Make sure you do that. Social Security number is 462 81 5823. Her position is service manager. Okay, so I have all of this information in here for you. What you need to do is go through and figure out the rest. And as far as totals go, it says quarterly totals. So again, we're going to auto sum. There you go. Hit enter. Drag this formula all the way across. And you'll get your totals. You're going to have to drag this total all the way down, though, this formula. There we go. You're going to need to figure out the rest of 5. Look at federal income tax, figure out the formulas for Social Security tax, Medicare tax, health insurance, other. We can put 10. Looks like we're going to have to format this to accounting. Health insurance, you can include 60. Again, making sure that everything is formatted in accounting style. Let's just highlight all these cells. There we go. Figure this out. Figure this out with a formula. Figure this out with a formula. And these out with a formula. And that's what I'm going to be checking for. So again, we did the payroll register. Then we transferred the information to an individual employee. So again, now you see that the full quarter of all their earnings. Again, this formula is equals this plus this. Let's drag this formula down now. There we go. So once you plug in numbers, this number is going to change. Make sure you do this. The next section I'm just going to briefly go through is how to write checks, and we will discuss this in class.